Our question of the day: a reflecting pool is shaped like a right triangle with one leg along the wall of a building. The hypotenuse is 9 feet longer than the side along the building. The third side is 7 feet longer than the side along the building. Find the lengths of all three sides of the reflecting pool. So now we know that we are dealing with a right angle triangle. So if you look at the question, it says one leg, let me change the color of the pen, it says one leg along the wall of a building. So which means if we have a right angle, let's assume that that's going to be the wall of a building, right? And if that's the wall of the building, so that's going to be one of our first triangle right there, one side of the right angle triangle. And then we'll assume another one is going to go that way, and then the hypotenuse is going to go that way. And then it says the hypotenuse is 9 feet longer than the side along the building. So which means this guy right here, which is our hypotenuse, is 9 feet longer than the side of the building. So which means what we can do is we have to make the side that's along the wall of the building our x, like we're gonna use the variable x. So if I change the color of the pen, I'll make these my x, and it says my hypotenuse is 9 feet longer than the side along the building, so it's gonna be x plus 9. So if the height of the wall is x, it says it's 9 feet longer, so you add the x to the 9, so it's going to be x plus 9. That's going to be our hypotenuse. And then it says the third side is 7 feet longer. The third side is 7 feet longer, which means this side, the bottom, is going to be 7 feet longer than the side along the building, so it's going to be another x plus 7. I hope so far we're following through. Now we know that in order for us to solve a right angle triangle, the sides, one of the most common solving process that we always use, like a formula, it's called a Pythagorean theorem. The Pythagorean theorem. It's c squared equals a squared plus b squared. Now we're going to use that to solve this. So what is my c? My c is always the hypotenuse. Whatever variable you have on the, like, it's like the angular, it's like the hypotenuse is going to be like the angular length. So you have a straight line, it's going to be one side, and you got a horizontal line, there's going to be another side. And where those two ends, and then there's a point that connect them, it's always called the hypotenuse. I hope that makes sense so far. Now I'm gonna solve this. So if I label the triangle, this is gonna be my C, which is the hypotenuse, and then I'm gonna label either side. This is gonna be A, this is gonna be my B, in order for me to solve this question right here. So c squared is gonna be x plus 9. So I will have x plus 9, and then I'm gonna put the square sign. Don't forget the square sign, right? Equals, and then what is my a? My a is just an x, so x squared plus, what is my b? It's going to be x plus 7. The whole thing is going to be squared. And then I'll try and distribute or unfold this guy right here. So I will have x plus 9, and I'm going to have another x plus 9. And then on the right, I will have my x squared plus, and then I'll unfoil the x plus 7 into x plus 7, and then x plus 7. And then if we continue, let me change the color of the pen, and then I'll distribute the left, sorry, it's going to be x squared, and then x with a 9 is going to be a positive 9x, and then 9 with an x is going to be 9x, and then 9 and 9 is going to give me a positive 81. Now onto my left, I still have x squared plus, I distribute this guy, x and x is going to give me x squared, and then x with a 7 is going to give me a 7x, 7 with an x, another positive 7x, distribute these two, will give me a 49. Then I'll continue from here. I will have x squared, and then I'm going to add these two, 9 and 9 is going to give me an 18x, and then a plus 81. And then on the right, I will have x squared plus, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize that I have 2x squared, so I will have 2x squared, and then 7 and 7 is going to give me a 14x, and then plus 49. Now I hope that so far we are following. We started with reading the question, trying to understand the question, and then we know that there's a side that's along the wall of the building, so we'll assume it's going to be vertical, and then another one is going to run horizontal, and then the hypotenuse is going to be the diagonal line. And then we know that when we continue reading the question, it says the hypotenuse is 9 feet longer than the side of the wall. So if the side of the wall is x, if it's 9 feet longer, so it's going to be x plus 9 is going to give me that hypotenuse. And for the horizontal, it says it's 7 feet longer than the side along the building, so it's going to be an x plus 7. It's going to give me the length for the horizontal side of the right angle triangle. Now I hope so far we're following through, and we're gonna continue with this problem. Now all I need to do is what happened is I'm gonna try and bring all these values, I'm gonna try and bring it to the left. The reason being is if I'm looking at the right, if I'm looking at the right and I'm looking at the left side, it gives me the form of a quadratic equation. That form of a quadratic equation goes like this. It's ax squared plus bx plus c. So with this problem, that is the only way I would be able to solve the value of x. So since we are on the same page of using the quadratic equation, all I'm gonna do is try and bring all the value from the right side, and then I'm gonna bring it to the left side, meaning whatever is positive on the right, when I bring it to the left, the sign changes. It'll become a negative side, a negative value. So all the value that's positive on the right, when I bring it to the left, it will become negative. Now let's continue with this problem. So from here I'm going to draw an arrow on that side, meaning that we are continuing on the other side. So I have x squared plus 18x plus 81. So these are all the value on the left, so they remain positive. And then minus 2x squared, and then minus 14x and then minus 49 equals 0. So these are all the value that was on the right. It becomes negative when I bring it to the left. Now what I can do is combine the like terms. I have x squared and negative 2x squared. When I add them, it gives me a negative x squared. 1 minus 2 gives me a negative 1x squared, which is the same as just a negative x squared. So I have a negative x squared. And then I combine 18x and a negative 14x. So 18 minus 14 gives me a positive 4x. And then I combine positive 81 and negative 49. So 81 minus 49 is going to give me a positive 32 equals 0. Don't forget that 0. Now, the next thing we need to do is sometimes it's always a very good idea to remove any value that's in front of the x squared. You're trying to simplify. For me, it's really good because you get to get the most simplified value you can get when you do the factoring. It's so easy as well. So what I need to do, I need to remove the value in front of a negative x squared. So what I do, I divide the left with a negative 1 and the right with a negative 1. We know that it's just going to be a 0 anyway, right? And then so negative 1 with a negative 1, negative divided by negative, it's going to give me just a positive x squared. Hold on, let me change the color of the pen. Let me use green. Okay, let me remove that. So a negative and a negative 1 is going to give me a positive x squared, and then a positive 4 divided by a negative 1 is going to give me a negative 4x, and then a positive 32 divided by a negative 1, it's going to give me a negative 32, everything equal to 0. Now I just made my x squared to be a variable on its own. There's no coefficient in the front. I've removed the coefficient, so now it's going to make it easier for us to solve. So what I'll need to do is I need to bring out that guy right there. I bring it out on the right. I write negative 32. And then what I need to do now is I need to find two values, two numbers. When I multiply those two numbers, it gives me negative 32. But when I add those two numbers, it should give me negative 4. Let me repeat myself again. Two numbers, when I multiply together, gives me a negative 32. And when I add them together, it should give me negative 4. So what two numbers I can find? I would say, so the two values that I found, that I already found, was a positive 8 and a negative 4. So it was positive 8 and negative 4. So 8 multiplied by negative 4 is going to give me a negative 32. But 8 plus negative 4, or 8 minus 4, no, sorry, it's going to be a negative, my bad. Let me just write that guy right there. It's going to be a negative 8 and a positive 4, because negative 8 times positive 4, I just need to change the sign, because sometimes you got to be very careful with the sign. So negative 8 times positive 4 gives me a negative 32, but negative 8 plus 4 is going to give me a negative 4. Now we got our two value, so now we found our factor. It's x minus 8 and then x plus 4. It is going to be equal to 0. I hope that so far you're following. Now, since we got that value right there, we just need to solve for x. So my first value is x minus 8 equals 0. When I solve for this, it's going to give me a positive 8, because minus 8 on the left, when I take it to the right, it's going to give me a positive. That's how I got positive 8. And the other value is x plus 4 equals 0. And then x is going to be a negative 4. Because positive 4, if I take it to the right to solve for x, it's going to give me a negative 4. So, I hope so far so good. We're following through with this question right here. Now since we found our two values, we have a positive 8 and negative 4. Now with any common sense or any person in the whole world, we will know that no length can ever be a negative number, so it's going to be a positive. So out of these two solutions, we're going to go with a positive, which is 8, and we will ignore the negative 4 because it doesn't exist in a real life length. And now we go back to the triangle. So now we know that our value of x is going to be equal to 8. And then to find the length of b, it's going to be x plus 7, which will give me the value of our b. So we know our x is 8, so it's going to be 8 plus 7, which will give me 8 plus 7 is going to give me a 15. And then we know for our hypotenuse it's going to be x plus 9. So we know the value of our x, which is going to be 8. So 8 plus 9. 8 plus 9 is going to give me a 17. Now, since, don't forget about the value, the units. So our x is going to be 8 feet. Our hypotenuse is going to be 17 feet. And then our horizontal length is going to be 15 feet. And that is how we solve that problem right there. And I hope it makes sense, and thank you for watching.